Well, hello. Hi there.
Hello to you too.
I
Greetings.
want to shout out chat real quick before I talk to these beautiful people that are on the show with me. Hail to Dempsey. Thank you for being here. Hail to Gadfly Fiction in the house. Placeholder is here as well. The one and only Jaden Hamilton has joined us. He says hello. Well, hello to you. Kayla Dare is with us. I got to meet Kayla Dare. She's a very charming person. Yeah, here we are. Let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's set the stage for the news that we got today. Before we do that, I want to shout out my man, Nathan Amanda Manethrin. How's it going? Steve, what's going on, you guys?
Howdy.
No, going well. Until you gave me this news, but otherwise, and that day's been great.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
Busy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching. We like a lot of us. We were watching Steve and Nerdporial watch episode 2 of Picard. Can't say that I'm shocked by the reactions. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the news that David Zaslov, the head of Warner Brothers, who is screwed. Warner Brothers lost a lot of money last year. Do you know how much money Warner Brothers lost? $2.1 billion.
Oh shit.
$2.1 billion lost by the decisions made by Warner Brothers, made by the same executives that are going to be in Warner Brothers, while they continue to develop what was made up today. I happen to be in the camp of what Zaslov said was panic and desperation. Anything that is talked about today and is done is at least 3 to 5 years away from development. And anything that is 3 to 5 years away will be written using ESG score, mandated diversity, equity, and inclusive writers, meaning you're not going to get the best quality writers out there. Hail to Miss Martin Muses, Teresa. It is wonderful to see you. God, you have a squeaky chair. My God.
I'm sorry.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. No.
It's more
I
my-
think it's charming.
It's more my butt, but you know.
So I'm gonna do this when this
He's
happens.
not wearing pants.
When oh Jesus, look at this. I like you guys just shut up. I don't like either one of you. Why are you on this channel? I'm gonna pull this up because this is
I don't know where I am. All right. Sorry.
I don't know. Well, no, you just watched Picard. So
I know.
shit, where is it? All right, here we go. So let's go to the news. Sorry, I know how to stream. I haven't done this in a while, and I'm usually trying to Mickey Mouse around with StreamYards. So this is from Deadline. More Lord of the Rings movies in the works as Warner Brothers and New Line strike rights deal. There's a third party this called the Embracer Group. Did a great video on that when this news broke last year. It's relevant and important to look at Embracer Group because it's essentially a big slush fundy holding company that, much like Warner Brothers, is not very profitable. And they have a lot of intellectual properties related to video games. Look up what Embracer Group did to some of their recent releases. Fill it full of ESG and woke, destroyed a well-established franchise. Before we get into all that stuff, where did everybody go? How come you guys aren't even vaguely on the screen? What is going on here?
I don't know what you did. There we go.
All right, let's do this. I don't even know what the hell's going on. It's been a while since I've done this. There we go. I reached out to Nathan the minute that I heard about this news. Nathan said, "What are you talking about?" I reached out to Steve because Steve and I were pinging in my Twitter group. I watched my Twitter group, and a lot of people, we're not all going to agree on this, have very interesting reactions to this. I'm going to start with you, Nathan, because you're reserved and you're a much better person than I or certainly Steve. So what do you think about this? Especially Steve. Let's be honest about it.
I am not terribly enthusiastic about this. I want to be able to say that I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's one of those things where when you look at Zaslav and you sit there and say, hey, he recognized Batwoman was a piece of shit movie and totally canned that one, got rid of it, and we didn't get to see that movie because that's great. But he kept The Flash. So
Cost of Henry Cavill as well.
that whole thing too. Absolutely. There's one hand that makes it look like he's not going to bend his way to the woke mob, but then he does things like the Cavill thing, like the Flash, like everything else, where he bends to that mob. And it just doesn't fill me with any sort of consistency that would instill the necessary confidence for me to sit there and say, hey, this looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm very wary and very skeptical of what they're going to be bringing to the table here.
What about you, Prophet of the Dragon, Mr. Negativity on Picard Season 3 with Notarial only moments ago? What do you think about this announcement? You and I were using a lot of profanity on the phone when you called me. It was kind of nice.
Yeah, well, that's me, man. I'm good at it, right? There's a few things, right? So it's new news, right? So I know we have an animation, War of the Rohirrim, coming out from Warner Brothers, if I'm correct. It's already been delayed, so that's coming out in 2024. You're probably right. It's going to be another 4 or 5 years before we see anything. But part of what I was thinking is, one, okay, we've just thrown out an arbitrary number. We're going to make 3 movies. What are they going to be about? It's like it's another one of these things where we're backing into something. We're making 3.
That's it.
We're making 3. Okay, we don't know what they're going to be about, but they're going to be Lord of the Rings. It's like, well, what if you've run out of stuff? Well, that doesn't matter. We'll make something up. It's not like, hey, we're making this Lord of the Rings movie. We're making this Lord of the Rings movie. We're making this Lord of the Rings. It's like, we're going to make 10 Star Wars shows. Oh, wait, we canceled all but 1. We're going to make 5 Game of Thrones spin-off shows. Oh, wait, no, we canceled all of those. We only made 1.
True.
We're backing into all this stuff instead of going, this is my idea for this story. We have this Lord of the Rings property. This is the Lord of the Rings movie we want to make. This is the 1. This is the 2. This is 3. Not just an arbitrary, we're making 3. So that's the first thing that's sort of a red flag for me, is they have no idea what they're even making. They're just making them.
Yeah. Let me interrupt you for 1 second. Gadfly Fiction says the burden of proof is on them. They have to really show that they will have anywhere near a level of concern or care for the material. But if they do show that, I will be slightly hopeful. Yes. So we are going to say this. I'm going to get this out and let Steve finish. After Zaslov, hours after Zaslov made the announcement, we're getting more Lord of the Rings. They, of course, referenced what the first 2 names, the names that we all thought. Where is Peter Jackson? Okay. Late breaking articles indicated that Peter Jackson was aware and had been monitoring this situation and the development of the deal, along with Philippa Boyens, who both were responsible for the Lord of the Rings. Okay. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It means that somebody somewhere in the marketing department of Warner Brothers understands that we have fatigue. We have bad, mediocre fantasy fatigue. And it took Amazon's The Rings of Power, somewhere between $500 million and $750 million of utter not successful. Could we just agree on that? I would call it a failure, an embarrassment. We know what Lord of the Rings on the big screen is, and it was not Warrior Gladriel. We know that, okay? So Warner Brothers knows this. They had to trot out Peter Jackson. If Peter Jackson, I'm going to say this now, and I'm probably going to say this a lot over the next 5 years. If Peter Jackson is not directing this, if he gets a bullshit executive producer role, just like Brandon Sanderson got an executive producer credit for Amazon's The Wheel of Time, which meant nothing as far as the content, the writing, the editorial of that. If Jackson is not directing, I have no confidence in it at all. You know how much confidence I have on a scale of 1 to 10? I have a 1. My excitement level is actually negative for this. The first thing that I thought, because I want to shout out Magitech Mags, who's in the chat, she brought this to my attention, was I was sad. We have entered the phase, for me at least in my fandom, where I hear that something that I care about is getting made, and my first reaction is to go, please don't. Steve, what do you think about that? Am I just an asshole? I mean, what's going on here?
Well, no, I think that's about where we are with most things. At least I am, and I know I'm getting
Mhm.
sort of painted a little bit of a negative Nancy, but it's not my intent to be. I want things to be good. There's a big pile of things I like. It just doesn't have to be anything modern. And
Yeah.
I know we talked about it earlier, but like I sort of have a different view of the whole Peter Jackson thing being involved. We talked about it. He did another batch of Lord of the Rings movies pretty much against his will. He didn't want to do it.
He was brought in to fix, and we're going to get into that. It's important to understand Warner Brothers were responsible for how The Hobbit was not nearly as good as the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now, why? Jackson did not want to do a trilogy. It's important to know that. So he said, "Nah, I'm out." They went with another director. They let the, they let the executives decide that, oh my God, well, Lord of the Rings was a trilogy. We have to make The Hobbit a trilogy, right? When really it could have been 2 movies. And even then, you would have had to fill it out. But all the things wrong, and I state this, and this is my truth. All the things wrong with the Hobbit trilogy were the fact that it should have been 2 movies, and nobody who has an executive, any vice president, anything, should have been nowhere near that set contributing one effing idea.
Yep.
Because we see the results.
Well, and that's why it's important, because like there's this thing where like, yeah, look, Peter Jackson made maybe possibly the greatest trilogy of all time. Like,
agreed.
Fine. I
watch
love
it
them.
once. I watch it like once every 2 weeks.
And God bless, and God bless the man for doing it. It was great. I love it. We all love it. It's fantastic. And then he made a pooper because of studio messing it up. Interference. There you go. Couldn't find the word. Sorry, I've been streaming too much today.
The same thing that destroyed the DCEU, the greatest, in my opinion, and I do believe this. I loved the DC characters. I loved Superman. I loved Batman. I loved Aquaman, Wonder Woman. I loved those comic books. How you could take that and turn it into the craptastic insanity that they did is beyond me. And then what did they do? They hit the reset button one more time with Mr. Guardians of the Galaxy, Mr. Jokey AF, maybe slightly more talented than Taika Waititi, James Gunn. And now here we go. They're pressing the reset button again.
So. Well, yeah, and it's just like so. Peter Jackson is not free of studio interference. It's one of those. He didn't want to do it. Guillermo del Toro dropped out. They brought him back, and they interfered. So it's not like, even though he's capable of making a great Lord of the Rings property, this day and age, I don't think anybody's free of studio interference. Even the great Peter Jackson. So.
I want to shout out Daniel, who just gifted 5 memberships in chat. Daniel, thank you. You've been a longtime supporter of this. Good dude. I would love to hear your take on this. Those of you who have up and coming channels like mine, like Steve, like Nathan's, Nerdpoils, we'd love to see your commentary on this show. Daniel, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Your Barmy gives us $2, doesn't ask a question. Your Barmy, just put a couple asterisks on this. If you have a question, you are also very supportive of the Woo Woo Show that I do with Purple Valkyrie. Thank you so much for being here. And Magitech Mags, right back at you. We've got a comment from Anthony Peterson who says, I think these execs really have no idea what really good fantasy and sci-fi is. You are correct. I don't think any of these execs even read or watch good classic fantasy. You're 2 for 2. All right. And so they don't know what's good or bad. Dude, that's a 3-peat right there. That's what you did. They don't care. They don't care. And as we've seen over the last 5 to 6 years, it seems to be about your environmental, social, and governance score. Has nothing to do with the product, because this is, for the first time in my life, I'm seeing corporations blame their customers for not buying their substandard counterfeit property. What do you think about that, Nathan? You're a much more measured, nicer person than I am.
I hope
Am
you
I
tell that
far
to
off
children
base?
then.
No, I know you're. I've talked to your kids. They tell me stories. You're such a cruel tyrant,
I
letting them
absolutely am.
get away with
Uh,
everything. Go ahead. The
Bring down the
spotlight's on
hammer.
you, bro. Spotlight's on you.
Yeah. Um, it's one of those things where they follow it, it's very political, and you can see how this interferes with the show concept process, where everything is about talking and talking. And by the way, let's talk about the action, but not show the action, but let's talk about it and create drama about the talking about the action that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And nothing ends up being presented on the screen that's worth a damn bit.
Yeah.
And so you get hallway scenes in Wheel of Time, and then they're riding horsebacks very slowly and they're talking some more. And all of this is a complete
Filler.
show of exactly what happens in the political realm, because you get a bunch of people in a room and they just sit there and yell back and forth, and there's no activity held.
Yeah. Dempsey says, I did enjoy old bird shit faced. What was his name? Biden? No, it was Radagast. It was Radagast. It was Radagast. Daniel, in addition to the 5 memberships, also gives us a super chat. Daniel, thank you very much. It was wonderful to meet you in Texas. I would love to have a cocktail with you. I really would. It's wonderful to get to meet people. It's weird and surreal, but it's also wonderful. And Daniel is one of the most charming guys out there. Gives us a $5 super chat, says, call me any name, but the casting announcement will tell you everything you need to know. Everyone knows what I mean. Lord of the Rings is only about English people. It's true. Northern Europeans, Scandinavians, people in Europe during, let's say, the Dark Ages or pre-Dark Ages or Renaissance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you say that, I'm of course a racist, a misogynist, I'm an incel. Look at the comments in my Wheel of Time videos. Steve knows exactly what I'm talking about. Daniel, thank you for that $5 super chat. This needs to look like Middle Earth. There are other areas of Middle Earth, and exhaustively, so many people talked about this before the Rings of Power came out. You guys remember that? When people had hope, when we were concerned that maybe it wouldn't be, there might be a couple of issues, and then we saw what we got, and it wasn't even the same universe. It wasn't even. Steve, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? I'm going to move on to this. I'm going to move on to the next article real quick. And I got an issue, so carry the show real quick for me.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think also it's one of those, we're way out in front of this, right? I mean, so it's like we have no idea what's going to go on. We have no idea if these are even really going to be made, or if this is just an earnings call thing to try and pump up something else, right? This all could change. So this is just sort of a 3 Lord of the Rings movies. We have no idea what they're going to be, but they're coming out. So, so casting is a long way off. I mean, I think finding out what the heck they're even going to be about will be telling, right? I don't know. What do you think, Nathan? Yep. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's those things are going to be some very telling, very revealing aspects of their intent with all of this. And if there is a shade of DEI involvement with this stuff, then we can immediately sit there and say, you know what? That's what's running the show. That's what's guiding the script. That's what's guiding the directing and the act, all of it. And I don't want any part of that. If they really cared about getting people on screen who were of a different color to show their diversity, why aren't you actually going to Africa and looking up their true and existing mythologies and presenting those on screen?
There is a movie that's doing that, but it's made by African directors and creative people, crowdfunded by people from Africa. That's actually at Sundance, and it's about the African version of the mermaid myth. Now,
Oh,
Hollywood
okay.
could have. So my point with this, Hollywood could have did that, but they
Right.
didn't.
Wow.
Right.
That sounds interesting too.
Right.
I mean, mermaids are one of those things. I don't know. So that's one of those things. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you get some traction. Like, and then we can be like,
Yeah.
see, we don't hate
Well,
stuff. We just want stuff that makes sense.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, and
and
it's
when you consider
violent,
that
and
too,
it's. Go ahead, Nathan. Go ahead.
uh, I mean, but when you consider that, I mean, these countries do have their mythologies. It's not just that that we want the European mythology. I mean, obviously, it appeals to us just because it's very relatable for us. But if it's a good movie, if it's a good story, I'm not going to be bothered by going to go see it at all. I would
No,
really enjoy seeing those types of things because it's a different
no.
aspect of another culture. I'm not Greek, I'm not Roman, but I enjoy Greek Roman mythology stories,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and look at everybody, the Korean cinema, Korean horror movies. Look at all the stuff that was popular on streaming, even though it required subtitles. Instead, we
Mhm.
get something. What do they call it? The Warrior King. What was that horrible piece of shit thing that
Oh,
that
no.
retcon the slave trade in Africa? The
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh man, I
Shit.
don't know.
It
Is that?
doesn't matter. Nobody saw it.
Something
Nobody
King.
cares. Yeah, the Burger
Right.
King. I think it was the Burger King. It was the
Is
African
it? Is it the Woman
slave thing.
King? Is that what it
Yes,
Yes.
a
was?
woman king. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Dempsey
don't know.
nails it. Says high fantasy is completely different from ours. Low fantasy is fantasy within our world. Yes, go on Twitter, look at all the pronouns. Execs don't know how to write fantasy at all. Well, you're not wrong. And here's the thing, high fantasy captures those things that are Campbellian, they're Jungian, they're archetypes that allow high fantasy, whether it's set in medieval or whether it's set in Middle Earth or in the Cosmere or in Robert Jordan's world, in the eye of the world. The reason why those stories work is that we recognize the archetypes. And also, the story has 3 acts, sometimes 4 acts. There are heroes' journeys. Everyone has flaws. Everyone has to overcome obstacles in their own way. Let's not beleaguer the point as to all of the crap and nonsense we have gotten from Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, ad nauseum. The problem is there are no heroes' journeys. These are not characters, they are caricatures that are meant to virtue signal, but in addition to try to reprogram us as to what it means to be a villain. Apparently, being a villain means you should feel bad for the person who's trying to kill you because they had a bad childhood or something like that, which
Mhm.
is not a compelling story. Let me go into this article a little bit. There's more to this than just the Lord of the Rings. Zaslov was on this financial call again. What did Warner Brothers lose last year? $2.1 billion. That's a movie studio. That's not a government of a small country. Put that in context. Again, the same executive leadership that interfered with the DCEU, with The Hobbit, is also going to be very involved. I can guarantee you on whatever this is, on whatever the Lord of the Rings is. So, in addition to that, Mortal Kombat 12 is coming out this year. What else? I'm going to pull up and
I
actually tweeted that. Go ahead, Steve.
I'm not surprised about the Mortal Kombat thing. I mean, like,
Yeah.
what, the game? So Mortal Kombat the game, or are they doing another movie?
They're doing another movie. This is another
So
movie. They're doing, yeah.
okay, so
Hmm.
I'm not like, I feel like the latest Mortal Kombat was like a near miss. They had a lot of parts that worked, and then they had, unfortunately, once again, they had to uh, insert their own character into a story that had no room for it. So Mortal Kombat I enjoyed to a point, and it was like a near miss for me. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I thought it had potential, and it's probably closer than a lot of things that have come out lately. I don't know if you guys watched it, but they just couldn't resist inserting their own crap into their own character into a mythos that didn't need it.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised there's not another Mortal Kombat coming out. The Lord of the Rings stuff sort of surprised me, to be honest. So
Let me go
I don't
ahead
know.
and read you what why Warner Brothers, in my opinion, made this announcement today. Are you ready for what Warner Brothers, after losing $2.1 billion last year, this is what was going to save them this year? Pay attention. This is going to get ugly and strange. The DCEU is now in shambles. James Gunn was brought in. We lost Henry Cavill, who is Superman. We also lost Batfleck. We kept Steve, Prophet of the Dragon's favorite actor, Ezra Miller, in The Flash. Multiple felon, the kind of guy who starts a cult, maybe is inappropriate with children, allegedly. And he commits serious felonies and gets a slap on the wrist with nothing happening. Why? Well, it's my conjecture, because this Flash movie is so important and they have nothing else coming out. Let me give you an example of what Warner Brothers has coming out. Shazam! Fury of the Gods will be here in about a month. Who's excited to see that? Not me. This summer, we have the aforementioned Ezra Miller's The Flash. Don't give a shit. Not going to see it. But wait, there's more. They then have Barbie, the Barbie movie from director Greta Gerwig, starring destroyer of profitability Margot Robbie, as well as Ryan Gosling. If you haven't had enough of this slate, in August, Jason Statham will face off against a prehistoric shark in Meg 2, The Trench, and then we get DC's The Blue Beetle. Not to be outdone, as we cruise to the end of the year, we are getting a musical based upon Willy Wonka. And then we are getting a musical based on the book The Color Purple.
What?
And wait, to crown it all off, in Warner Brothers' glorious slate of 2023 releases, Jason Momoa will star in Aquaman in the Lost Climate Change Kingdom. Oh, Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom, which is, if you look at on Reddit and also check out with Ryan Cannell and others have said about leaks from the screenings of this, people hate Aquaman 2, and it's not because of Amber I Pooped the Bed heard.
Oh, it's not?
This is where we're at. What else was Zaslov going to do? They are effed with a capital F. Tell me what you think about this, Nathan. How many of those things that I talk about? You have a teenage daughter, and I think a girl close to the 20s. Steve, you have a son that's, I think, 12, and another son that's about 18, 19 years old. Which of these movies are you going to take your kids to see? All these movies in the theater, maybe multiple times? Which of these appeal to you guys? Let's start with Nathan.
0. Not going to see a damn one of them, because the movie ticket prices are going up, and none of them are worthy of my hard-earned dollar that I'm going to have to fight even harder to keep as this economy goes to complete shit.
Yeah.
And when you sit there and you throw all the garbage that you just spilled out of your mouth,
don't hate the messenger, man.
I'm not.
These same executives are going to be around for the Lord of the Rings, guys. The same executives that got rid of Henry Cavill are going to be balls deep, up to the wrist, up this. Unless Peter Jackson stipulates, keep all of your simps and your LA pronoun happy ESG score agenda dickwads away from this. Sorry, go ahead.
They'll kick him off the project then.
Yeah.
I'm going to see. How dare you besmirch the name of the Meg? I mean, come on, the Meg 2. I do. See, did you see my Ezra sign? I'm going to keep this for every stream. There we go.
Are you looking? Look at this! Oh my God! It's like I've got Az here from a couple of years ago holding up the whiteboard. You guys, I
love Ezra. Okay, so I will see the Meg. No, I won't. I'll see it after. I'll see it on TV. I'm not going to the theater. I'll be watching the Mario movie probably 3 or 4 times while these are all coming out, because like. It's the only movie I have any hope of being good at all right now.
Yeah.
At least any big movie. Like there's always sleepers
Dune
out there.
2.
Dune 2.
Dune 2, is that coming out next year? So that could be
November.
that's
That's
another
coming
one.
out this November. And
Okay.
don't forget they moved the Marvels,
Oh, wow.
which should have came out 2.5
Oh,
years ago.
I'll be there for
They
that
moved
too.
the Marvels to November.
Yes.
So it could get lost with Dune in a Trolls movie, so that it could
Yeah.
hide the fact that no one is going to go see.
Which
The
means
Marvels.
I will shower myself with this stuff
Oh
before
my
I go see that
God.
movie.
And light yourself on fire. Hail to Gray, Wakazashi's Tea House. It's awesome to see you. I look forward to talking about Dragon Slayer tomorrow night on Wakazashi's Tea House. I actually rewatched it today. It's a slow movie. It came out in 81, didn't do very well, but my God, it is an immersive world. And it's a movie that's, I can't do math, 40-something years old. Didn't cost a lot of money to make. And it is more authentic than the billion-dollar Rings of Power. Yeah, Aquaman 2 is supposed to be a stinker. You guys, you're not wrong about that. Let's take a quick look at this. I can do this. It's okay.
I do want
Wow.
to say this is real quick.
Take
This
it.
is sort of it makes me think of the thing going on with Hasbro with Dungeons and Dragons. I
Yeah.
mean, they made it no secret. You know, they're like, we have this property, we have this IP of Dungeons and Dragons. It should be making us all the money in the world. It's not. Let's just throw up everything Dungeons and Dragons we can figure out. Let's have a cartoon. Let's have a movie. Let's have 18 different games. Let's have a
They're
bunch
creating a
of action figures.
multiverse.
Yeah.
I did a
So-
video
yeah.
on this a couple weeks ago. They're doing a multiverse for Dungeons and Dragons. It's being kicked off by this tragic Chris Pine movie. But it's not just the Pine movie. Paramount is putting out between 8 and 12 shows, some scripted live action, some we don't know what it is, but Hasbro is literally vomiting up all of their woke ESG score driven orcs are racist bullshit for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Well, this is sort of reminiscent of that. I feel it's like Warner Bros. Like, we got Lord of the Rings. We got to crank out some Lord of the Rings content. Let's go. Come on. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's take a look at this article. Why this is fascinating. Now, the Embracer Group did this acquisition of last year. I probably will post a link to the video that I did on this where we went through the actual announcement at the time. Now, the Embracer Group is a large holding company. In my opinion, it's kind of a corporate slush fund that bought a whole hell of a lot of IPs. Now, they have hundreds and hundreds, I am not kidding, of video game intellectual properties that they are slowly trickling out. They recently redid Saints Row. Now, in that, I was talking to Purple Valkyrie. She was a big Saints Row player. She said it was woke as hell. They destroyed it because you could run around in Saints Row. It's an absurdist take on Grand Theft Auto. Okay. And you could run around hitting people with big, like 4-foot dildos. Those are Purple Valkyrie's words privately, not mine.
Purple.
This group decided to make it more relatable for a modern audience and have abilities and sensitivities in it. And they destroyed it. Okay. Will they do that with the Lord of the Rings property? That is another variable in this. And I am not going to say yes. I'm not going to say yo. But this is part of the reason why I am concerned about this announcement from Zaslov, is that it's not just Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema, and maybe we're going to get Peter Jackson. The rights are owned, and there is a big asterisk on that because I did the show on it. I need to rewatch my own show as to exactly what Embracer gets. Okay, because Warner Brothers still has the rights to all things that Warner Brothers made in Peter Jackson, the look and the feel of the Jacksonian Middle Earth. Okay, Embracer has the ability to create theme parks, but who is going to go to a theme park that doesn't look like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings? So this is going to get really interesting and complex. Now, Embracer Group is launching, in addition to that, 5 new major console video games this year and next. Now, probably the most infamous one of these is the Gollum game. Okay? When that game came out, it was widely panned and rejected because it looked terrible. Okay? They've been doing reprogramming. It is a game where you sneak around as Gollum. I don't know about you guys. I don't give a shit about playing Gollum and being an asshole. I just don't. But apparently people are all into this sneak around, stab people, murder people type of stuff game. And it was about Gollum. So what do you guys think? Do you guys just a yes or no? Do you want a Gollum video game? You want anything like that? Is that how
Nope.
you roll? No?
No. There's a million Lord of the Rings games I would have. Not that.
Yeah.
Here's the great thing about Gollum. He is a great antagonist side character in a phenomenal movie that is based on its focus on 9 people of a fellowship that are much more major characters than he is, but he is a great foil in the story. He is not a main character for any kind of story that you ever want to put on any medium.
No, and Nerdrotic has frequently said it that Gollum is actually the perfect analogy for addiction. Because if you watch how Gollum reacts and how addicted he is and what it does and the evil things it does for him to get what he needs, that's addiction. Hail to Silverlock. Thank you very much, my friend. Longtime supporter of this channel. This is a $9.99 super chat. Thank you. Says, the only movies that I plan on seeing in the theater this year is John Wick and Dune. I can't think of anything else. Well, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'd actually go see John Wick in the theater. I've never seen a John Wick movie, but I am dying to go to the theater and see a movie that doesn't suck. And right now, where I am, I have one movie theater. It has 3 screens, and guess what's on it? Everything sucks. Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Silverlock. And thank you for being here, being on the live shows I do with Purple Valkyrie, among other things. You are fantastic. I'm going to wrap this article up. So in addition to Gollum, again, even this article from Shill Media says it has been delayed numerous times, but is now scheduled for release in 2023. Good luck with that. But this is Gollum. What is this here? What are we looking at? I don't even know.
Dude, that's Black Myth. I hope that I can't wait for that game to come out. That looks amazing. Sorry, that is not Gollum.
I didn't think so. No, but this, you know how, oh my God, have more articles on here. Yeah, this is Shill Media. So right now, all we know for sure is the Lord of the Rings Gollum. There's 5 or 4 other games, and we don't know what they are. So this was a useless article, and sometimes that's what happens when you live stream is you just get dog shit articles.
Yeah, I love how their articles about Gollum and they put like a cool game like Black Myth up there.
I know.
It's like, okay, oh my God.
Yeah. So let's get to the meat of the matter. When people start telling you how excited they are because Peter Jackson is going to be on the Lord of the Rings, that is not true. Maybe it will be. Hold on. Maybe it will be. And because I don't have a producer, let me see. Anthony Peterson says, and I'm sorry on chat, I don't have anybody to back me up on that. D&D can't be a multiverse. It was designed to be an RPG, so it's just rules for role play. The DM and players are supposed to create something new every single campaign. I was a DM for years. I never actually played role-playing games because I was always the nerd with the graph paper, creating my own dungeons with my spiral notebook, with all my dice, and I had my sheet up in front of me, and that's what I did until I discovered girls. And then I played D&D every once in a while. So, yeah. Yes, placeholder. Embracer is the one behind the new Saints Row release, the debacle that is. Hail the Brightest Day is in the chat. Sorry I'm behind you guys. I'm trying to read articles and do all this other stuff at the same time, and it kind of is what it is. It's awesome to see you. Brightest Day, that thing, I'm going to open it, but I'm having guilt until that thing that we talked about, but I have something really cool that Brightest Day made for me, which we are going to probably do on a video very, very soon. Hail a man. Oh my God, Lyle Hammock. Mr. Lyle Hammock. We were having some interesting exchanges in my Twitter group today, very respectful. But I wanted to caution people because we don't have enough information yet. Lyle Hammock for $50. For $50. Lyle, thank you. Really, you've been a very long time supporter of this channel. And you and I do not agree on everything, and that's okay. Thank you. Says, what's up, gents? How's it going? Salty destroying hope. I am not. I am the guy telling you you've had 18 beers, and that girl at the end of the bar The girl at the end of the bar that you think is a 10 is more like a Canadian 4. Okay, just gonna say that just because
That's
Zach
my
says he
job.
couldn't be here tonight. Yeah,
I'm a destroyer of hope. Come on, that's me.
now
So
we all are.
okay.
We all. He said,
The
"Okay, to continue,
Shamael's the destroyer of hope.
I'm
It's true.
joking, but seriously, I have high hopes, especially considering Jackson. I think will be heavily involved. Well, we can hope involved in these Lord of the Rings films. Anyway, can't hang. It's bedtime for me. Early day at. Thank you, Lyle. I get it. I know. I'm up at 5 o'clock every day because I have a client 3 time zones away. Well, again, Lyle, thank you very much for that, and that will get us into this and why I brought this up. This is from Deadline as of a couple of hours ago. Now, referring to Philip Boyens and Peter Jackson, they have not said yes to being involved, but they have not said no. Quote, Warner Brothers and Embracer have kept us in the loop every step of the way. This comes from both Jackson and Philippa Boyens. Quote, we look forward to speaking with them further to hear, and this is what we all want to know, to hear their vision for the franchise moving forward. This announcement was made, in my opinion, in sheer desperation. They have no plan. Imagine that, Warner Brothers not having a plan, like with the DCEU or anything else that they're doing. They don't know what they're doing, but they announced 3 movies. I'm going to kick this to you, Steve. Tell me what that means. This seems like nothing to be excited about. And Lyle, again, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think
awesome.
that sums it up right there. You summed it up. I mean, it's like, they throw, and I think this is all on purpose. They throw Jackson's name out there. That, wasn't it an earnings call that this came out on? So that's sort of suspect, right? It's like, oh yeah, the future's bright. Lord of the Rings. Everybody knows Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings.
Just not 2022. Just not 2023, and probably not 2024.
It's like the project they do have going has been delayed, like, which people like myself included, War of the Rohirrim, from what we've seen of it, or heard about it too, sounds promising, and it's it's animated, which is what most of us is like. You should be doing this stuff animated. It gives you so much more freedom, right? So that's been delayed. Now you have an earnings call where they dump 3 Lord of the Rings movies that they have no plan for. Then they throw Peter Jackson's
There's not
name
even
out there.
a treatment. I bet you if you ask Zaslov, what book and story, what are you going to do? He wouldn't even be able to tell you. They don't know. In my opinion, they are shitting the bed. Most movie studios are, okay? Except that Warner is really, really shitting the bed. You lose $2.1 billion last year, and we went through the slate of what's coming out this year. That they're not going to be profitable either. Nathan, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Finish up, Steve. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just like I can picture the writers, the room where they're in the panic and ready. It's like, well, what are they going to tell? What are we going to tell them at this earnings call? It's like, well, what titles do we have? What IPs we got? Well, we got Lord of the Rings. Like, well, shoot, let's just tell them we got 3. We're going to make 3. We'll make 3, and we'll figure it out after that. I mean, I feel like that's what's going on here. It's like just say the name of the thing and say we got 3 of them coming out. And we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out from there.
Yeah. Well, and that's the worst thing you can do when you go into battle is not have a plan of attack at all. You don't do that, then you're playing behind the 8 ball the entire time. And I can't think of movies off the top of my head where that's obviously has been what's happened. But when it has occurred, you can't sit there and get in front of a good story when you're sitting there playing behind. And like the folks in the chat are hitting home runs here. It's
all over the place.
It's not just Jackson.
Yeah,
it's also about who he would bring in. So Shippy with what Gadfly is saying right there. If he surrounds himself with good people, then I can trust that. Yeah. Because there's one wary thing about Philippa Boyens being on the War of the Rohirrim is one of the other executive producers on that show is insanely woke as hell.
Yeah, and was talking about the Atlanta Police Department was doing standard maneuvers and basically was like something about deleting pigs, which is just disgusting and horrible.
And so as long as he can surround himself with the right people, you know that his intentions would be great as far as we've known him to be consistently with. But again, it's getting the right people, and again, it's actually getting him signed up. And this was not this was, hey, we want to do this. We want to get out in front of this announcement, in front of this conversation to Jackson, and maybe kind of put a little bit of pressure on him to maybe say, hey, let's do this. And that's not going to win people over to sit there and say, yeah, let's do this.
No,
It's,
no.
what do you have for me to do, and what's your plan? Because if you don't have that, I don't think you can make Peter Jackson budge an inch toward doing that.
No, not after what happened with The Hobbit, because he said no. We talked about it early in the show. He wanted nothing to do with them trying to force it to be 3 movies. Del Toro, great director. Didn't Guillermo.
I can't say it
Del
either.
Toro. All right. Del Toro wanted nothing to do with it either. Wanted to go with a different vision. The studio wanted to turn it into what it was, which is to try and sell toys. Ironically, there were really no toys. Now I have right behind me, that is a 1/6 scale Hobbit figure. They're very hard to find, but I found one, and that's behind me, and it's actually really pretty darn cool. But The Hobbit was the product of too many cooks in the kitchen, too much agenda, too many executives, and no benevolent dictator, which is what Jackson was, which is why the Lord of the Rings trilogy is so good. Sorry, you guys go ahead.
Well, and the other thing too is, if you look at the behind the scenes stuff with the Hobbit movies, you can tell most of the way through the second movie, when Jackson's talking about things, you can just tell that man was exhausted, and he still had another movie to go through with it. You know, it's dealing with these executives is a very trying ordeal when you get all these cooks in the kitchen. And that's one thing Brandon Sanderson, in a recent interview with a booktuber, was talking about. Writing A Memory of Light was a nightmare. He enjoyed it, but writing it was a nightmare because everybody that had been involved in the story for the past 13 books finally came in and said, well, we want to have our say in the final product too. And so instead of having just to report to Harriet for the final treatment of Memory of Light, he had Harriet and Joe Schmo and Jill Doolittle and all these other cooks in the kitchen. And it just made it an absolute chore.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing ever.
Well, before The Rings of Power came out, we showed the 23 producers that were involved, executive producers on that show. We showed all of the writers. This comes down to a lot of different things. And I think the warning signs are all there. And I'm not saying it to be a negative asshole. I'm not. I'm saying it that there's only so many times that it can be Groundhog Day and we don't figure our way out with this. I want this to be good. I want Peter Jackson to do this. The question is, let me do this. The Lord of the Rings was a trilogy of books. The Hobbit is one book. Those had a beginning, middle, and end. Clearly defined dialogue, descriptions, path, story. What is left? Not the unfinished words. What do we got? Beren and Luthien? Are you going to try and take the Silmarillion? What are you going to do? Are you going to make origin stories? Because that's one of the things that the Embracer Group got rights to, was to do origin stories for all of the Lord of the Rings characters. That was specifically spelled out within the deal they made with the Tolkien estate. So are we going to get the story of Gladriel, even though we kind of got one? Are we going to get Arwen's story? Are we going to get Aragorn's story? If so, that is going to be 90% interpreted by whatever writer is given this based upon only the notes and history created by Tolkien. Now, living in the world that we do now, that writer will not be here, in my opinion, most likely be hired based upon merit, but upon diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, we've seen the results of that in how many properties? What do you guys think? And then we're going to get out of here. Let me do this. What is your prediction for this? Do you think Peter Jackson's going to be there? If so, what book or what thing are they going to cover? What's your read on this before we cruise on out of here? Hail to Doviende Setovius again, by the way. Hail. Go ahead. We'll start with Nathan.
Is Jackson? It's way too early to say yay or nay on that, just because they threw this out as an absolute hope and a prayer type of feeler. My inclination is to say no at the moment, but who knows? What are they going to do? I think their best bet right now, if it were me, if I would take something from the Silmarillion, and I would maybe do a 2-part movie of Baron and Luthien. But that's not going to be me. That's what I would do, just on a stream of consciousness thought process. And then you can do 3 other movies pulling from the Silmarillion as well, because that's really the only place to get a beefy enough story to really kind of fill it out. But there's nothing. It's just there's not.
There's nothing like the Lord of the Rings
with
trilogy.
it.
No, there's nothing like the Lord of the Rings that's defined with characters, with dialogue, with movement. There's nothing like The Hobbit. This would be entirely at the mercy of whatever writer they put on this. Let me do this members chat. This is from Doviende Setovius again, who's been a member of my channel for 1 year, for 12 months.
Nice.
Thank you. It means a lot to me that you stuck with me. It means a lot to me that you guys are here. And I get to see you guys another stream and be obnoxious in chat, when Steve is playing a stupid game. He says, which is a lot these days.
Very often.
Let's be honest about it. Very often. Yeah. Everything is freezing up on my computer. Can you guys hear me? This is
nuts. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to? I can read it for you if you want.
Yep, we can hear.
Yeah, if you can do it. My computer's backing up on me. I'm sorry, Dovey. It's complicated, but please take it, Steve.
Yeah, so Dovey's been a Taviran for 12 months. My favorite nerds coming together is always great for me. Thank you, Dovey.
It's great to see you. It's great to see everybody here. And the new faces we get as well. And those people who might watch Purple Valkyrie and I do the Phenomenal Woo Woo show. Or those people that I encounter on Steve's playing Zelda, which I don't understand. It's great to see you guys. Neither. It means a lot. Son of Jockster is in the house. Another longtime supporter says, though Blue Wizards are the only real wild cards that they could do original stories about that won't violate canon. That I remember the detail of this correctly, because it's been about 5 or 6 months since I went live with this. I don't think they have rights to the Blue Wizards. They do have the rights to the origin stories of everybody who was part of the original Fellowship, however. So maybe we're going to get another backstory of Gandalf, but again, I don't want any of these things. I don't. I almost don't want this at all. I don't know.
I'm with you.
Steve, please continue. I'm sorry. Or Nathan, were you finished?
No, yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
And I'm done.
Steve, what about you? What do you think? Is Peter Jackson going to be part of this? If so, what do you think they're going to cover? What's your read on this in general, dude?
So I think they're going to keep floating Jackson's name. I think you're going to get a lot of comments from Jackson going, we're still looking into this. And then I think he's not going to do it. So I think they're going to float his name around. They're going to keep his name close to attached to it. They're going to keep being vague, saying we're in talks with Peter Jackson, this, that, and the other. And then he's not going to do it. And they're going to just insert whatever director / showrunners they want for these 3 movies. And they'll do whatever they want. And I think it'll probably the easiest, quickest way to go to produce some crappy movies just to be pooping out Lord of the Rings content is you're going to get at least one, but probably, I would say probably some sort of dwarf origin story where they pick Durin I'm not as schooled in Lord of the Rings lore, but Something with
Don't apologize.
Moria, some sort of Moria show where the fall of Moria. So you can, because that's attached to Peter Jackson.
It's interesting that you say that because they have there's a video game coming from Embracer where you play a dwarf going to resettle in Moria. So Steve, that's a good take. Sorry, go ahead.
So no. So I think, and look, in a different world, that could be a good movie. Like you get to see what happened, the fall, them digging too deep. You get to see the Balrog where he actually belongs, and you get to see what actually the fall of Moria. You could even work it into the scene with Lord of the Rings with them coming in, and that could almost be the end of your movie. So I mean, so that could be a good movie in a different world. But some sort of Moria movie with the dwarves, probably an Aragon or origin story from a young buck. He would be nothing without Arwen. Everything he is in life is because of Arwen type movie. And then I don't know, who knows what the third one will be. But I don't think when it all comes down to it, I don't think Jackson's going to end up on it. I think doing the Lord of the Rings almost killed him. Literally, he lost the stress and all that. He lost so much weight because of stress and all that. And then he never really wanted to do The Hobbit, and he bailed him out. And you can sort of see that in the finished product that his heart wasn't completely in it. He tried his best, I think, probably, but and then from there, I think Peter Jackson's hasn't really done much since The Hobbit, or he did what, King Kong, and then the Hobbit trilogy, and he's sort of just been you haven't heard much from him. So I think he's probably pretty happy where he is. And rightfully so. I think, and I don't think so.
Yeah. I think what you'll probably see is get an executive producer credit. And we all know, based upon, again, Brandon Sanderson, what that means. You can send all the changes you want to scripts. Doesn't mean they're going to go in. We also know that Peter Jackson gave notes and feedback to Amazon, The Rings of Power, that were completely ignored by Payne and McKay. I don't think there's any way he signs on here unless he says everything is mine and you can't change an effing thing. I think that is the only way that Jackson comes onto this. If not, look for a candidate of equity to be put in the role that Peter Jackson shouldn't have it. And then if you don't like it, we're going to go back to the same old song and dance. And I think Steve got Zombie Apocalypse.
I think I got
going to go back to the same.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's too early, but I said this in chat, and this is how I'm going to end the show tonight. We can speculate. I think a lot of people are going to speculate and pull things out of their bungholes. I think a lot of people are going to draw from bad information as to what Embracer owns and doesn't own. It is out there. You have to dig for it. Okay? That is critical. Okay? The only way we can start to begin to track the trajectory of where this is all going to go is after the War of the Rohirrim is released. Okay, that is being done by Warner Brothers and a subsidiary that does animation for Warner Brothers. Okay, headed by Philippa Boyens, but with that psycho nutbag like progressive commie douchebag producer that's on it. We don't know what's going to happen. Okay, this is still Hollywood 2022, 2023. Never forget that. That's not being negative. What that means is your eyes are open. Okay. I want to let me go to this one. We'll end with a couple of these. Anthony Peterson says at some point these production companies will have to make a profit with these shows or movies, or else the financial people and stockholders are going to really demand answers. Like Disney. Like there was a coup where someone tried to take over Disney because Disney wasn't taking care, in their opinion, of the shareholders. Again, Warner Brothers lost $2.1 billion last year. Is that taking care of the shareholders? I don't know. How's Netflix doing? Amazon? Paramount?
Yeah.
Is anybody engaged in taking care of the stockholders? No, they're engaged in stakeholder capitalism, which means the profits don't matter as long as the message is there. Seen the most recent messaging from Disney? We're going to continue to make this even though it doesn't make money because it's important to society. It's important to reprogram society. Those are their words, not mine. I want to say thank you to Nathan, to Steve coming on. I'm going to go ahead with Nathan, Amanda Manethran. What have you got going on before we get out of here?
Well, I think next thing I've got going on, I'm going to be on Nerdporial on Sunday night to discuss the conclusion of The Great Hunt with Robert Jordan and just finishing the enjoyment of that book because it's freaking phenomenal. And I think outside of that, I think nothing else that I can think of off the top of my head because my brain's Swiss cheese. It's been a day.
Yeah. What about you, Prophet of the Dragon, who just watched Picard season 3, episode 2?
It's like, so I'm gonna be sorry, I'm gonna be on reviewing it with Nerdporial. He's watching. I think he's currently watching it again to see if it's just my toxic manhood that is tainting the show. But for him, but
phrasing.
I've taken the stance of if it's I don't think there's only one thing I can think of that I'm looking forward to, and it's the Mario movie, which is why it scares me the most. I'm cautious. I can be cautiously optimistic about a lot of things, but it's hard to be really hyped for anything these days. And I feel bad for my buddy. I feel really bad for Nerdporial because he wanted this he wants this. It's not over yet. So I mean, and I'm pulling for him. But he really wants Picard to be
real time.
Yeah, he really wants it to be good. He's trying. He wants it to. He really wants it. And he's been really fair, and then you got me being very unfair and very So I'm very curious to see what he says after he's watched it again. But sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say I didn't think you were being unfair. I think you were saying what a lot of people in chat were saying. Yeah. And again, it's not all because we're haters. It breaks my heart. And I don't say this in any disempowering or disrespectful way that this is hurting people as much as it is.
Yeah.
I hate this. All I want is good. All I want is pretty good Star Trek. All I want is pretty good Star Wars. All I want is pretty good Robert Jordan, pretty good Tolkien. You know what I mean? Pretty good. So we can nitpick over certain bullshit things that nerds used to do. Mm-hmm. Instead, we're being forced to talk about politics and agenda and intersectionality. That is not, it has not been an accident. Is it going to stop? I don't know. And anyone who says it's going to is not necessarily, they don't know that. This is not being negative. Just be prepared. And one of the most important things you can do, as we saw with Roald Dahl and them editing children's books, buy physical media for the love of God. Get the Lord of the Rings extended on DVD. You can still go to, or Blu-ray or whatever it is off eBay, where buy those things that you like. Don't trust it's going to be on streaming because it is not going to be. You can take that money to the bank. Before we get out of here, just to show you, I show these all the time. These are 1/6 figures from the original. This is from the Fellowship of the Ring. This is a action figure of Gimli that is over 20 years old in the original box. Now I have Aragorn, I have Arwen, I have Gandalf, I have Legolas, I have them all. This was just convenient and the least likely thing to destroy everything behind me. I love these movies, and nothing would make me happier. Nothing would make me happier than having a movie where I could get this again, where I could fill my shelf with good Middle-earth, Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, Peter Jacksonian, or somebody who respects Tolkien the way that Jackson did, with their action figures like this. I have more action figures. I have 1/12 scale. I have games. I have books. I'm not a lore nerd, but you know what? We don't have to sit here and do pissing contests as to who knows more about what and can name what happened every year. Whether it's Robert Jordan, whether it's Tolkien, whether it's Cosmere, it's okay to just like something and to be like, I love this and I love this character and this is why I love this character. I would really like if Hollywood would give us the opportunity to do that again. I'm not entirely convinced that Warner Brothers, in their actions today, are indicative that that's going to happen at all. Everybody, thanks for being here. It's almost the weekend. Thank you to Steve. Thank you to Nathan. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. We've all been here before. I really hope it's not the same thing again. So, any last words before I play us out, gentlemen?
No, I think you
Appreciate
said
the
it
invite,
all.
Salty.
All right. You guys, thank you to Lyle Hammock, to Silverlock, to Gadfly, to everyone. And if I missed your name, it's because it's late, right? Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you for being here. It means a lot. It really does. Thank you. You guys, please have a great weekend. Please leave comments to this. If you're on my Twitter feed, please let me know and have your feedback. We're going to have an interesting time watching Warner Brothers fabricate a narrative around how this is going to work because they don't even know what they're making yet. You guys, take care. Bye.